coming to you from the colourful and smoky stage of the internet. This is the Melodramatics. Three insane minds discussing all things theatre. Now, shookers, and let's start the show! Hi all, welcome to the Melodramatics. I'm your host, the Iron Man of the Melodramatics, Benji Rag. Here with the Spider-Man, Lauren Haggard.
Hello.
And the Incredible Hulk of the Melodramatics, Dear Taylor.
Should I be offended?
No, I say that because you get into a rage.
Yeah, okay, fair.
You're quick to
I am
anger.
not that quick to anger.
You're quick to...
Do you want to fight me? Take it outside right now.
I feel like I'm more quick to anger than Dia.
You're mellow. You're the mellow in the Melodramatics.
You haven't met me properly, Dia, but that's okay.
Oh, I mean, we did live together for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I don't anger you like Benny does. So
That is true. You don't have testicles to anger me with.
that I'm aware of, yes.
So I have some feedback from episode 4 when we talked about the worst Broadway shows.
Uh-oh.
Do tell.
Would we like to hear it?
Yes.
Yes, so this is from one of the forums that we posted the video in. So one of our adoring fans wrote, "When you can't even get the people's names right you're talking about."
Oh.
Benny, that's you.
Benny.
Directed at you every time.
Yeah. I mean, how long did it take you to
Was
get
it
Lauren's...
Marina Abramovich?
I'm
kept
terrible
calling
at
her
pronouncing
Maria?
names. I'm Australian. We can't pronounce names.
Australian.
I mean, how long did it take you today to get Lauren's name right? You know?
Yeah.
I should leave all that in. I think it's because I wasn't pronouncing Jim Steinman right.
Disgusting.
All right, we have one more. I actually saw the Broadway production of Dance of the Vampires, and it was more entertaining than this video.
Ooh. That's from the play you discussed, isn't it, Benji?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So let's just say that all the criticism is labelled at me.
Good. That's good. I like it that I
Yeah.
have fans. And by fans, I mean people who don't have a go at me.
So, guys, we're talking about the West End. The West End of London is the famed theatre district and place where people come from far and wide to enjoy the sights and sounds of entertainment of London City. It is a well-known historical theatre district and considered one of the highest areas that you can put on a play.
Yeah, it's a very, very beautiful part of the world. I was lucky enough to see Les Miserables there in 2008. Wait.
Hey, Dia,
2013.
stop showing off about every place you've been internationally, okay?
God, I'm just saying that it's a beautiful part of the world.
Last week you were bragging about going to New York. Now you're talking about London.
I'm not bragging. I'm just putting myself in there and saying that, it's an anecdote. God, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Find me.
I
will.
was actually going to say that, Phantom of the Opera has been going on there for years. Andrew Lloyd Webber continually puts on performances there. And despite that, it is still a very successful theatre place.
Hey.
I knew there was going to be a dig at Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Wait until we talk about the production I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're going to
Lots
have
of
fun
digs.
defending that one.
Defending.
I've been to the West End.
Look, Benji's talking about himself. He's bragging, Lauren. He's bragging.
He's talking about himself. That's nothing new.
Yeah.
At least he's not talking about Jojo Rabbit for the millionth time.
Oh, this is true. This is what we're going to talk about every episode, Jojo Rabbit.
Yes.
Jojo Rabbit.
Watch Jojo Rabbit. It's amazing.
Uh-huh.
It was robbed at the Academy Awards. Have you watched Jojo Rabbit yet, dear?
Not yet. It's not on any streaming sites.
Maybe get on it.
It's not on any streaming sites, and I don't want to spend other money just
Go
yet.
out and buy it.
I have it.
There you
on
go.
I
my
have 26
computer.
copies of it in my house.
That is not surprising.
26. That does not sound legal.
Is anything I do legal?
No, you're right.
Theatre in the West End started to bloom in the early 19th century when a number of small theatres and musical halls were established. In the middle of the 1800s, the government passed the Theatres Act, and conditions for performances, theatre, and all those sort of venues were relaxed. Musical hall acts became the cinemas of the day, where the working class came up west to see famous acts and enjoy their night out. But today, we're not looking at the best performances of the West End. we're looking at the shit-stained walls of the theatre. So, Lauren, what did you pick as the worst show for the West End?
Viva Forever.
I've never heard of it.
Good.
Neither have I, actually. Do go on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Lauren watches a lot of shit. Have you seen her films?
Sure, why not? Viva Forever might sound familiar as a song title from the early 90s from Spice Girls.
Oh, no.
You with me?
Oh.
Wait, is this Spice Girls
It's the
musical?
Spice Girls musical. It's
Oh, yes!
so it's a jukebox musical, and it's using all of the Spice Girls music from their whole 3 albums, I think it was. And that's it, folks.
Spice Girl musical.
I don't see how that could possibly be bad.
Is it better than Spice World or whatever it was, the movie?
Oh,
I don't know.
that movie is legendary.
The thing is, in my research, I went on.
I like to think I'm Scary Spice.
Sure, you tell yourself that.
Yeah, definitely.
The thing is, when I was researching Viva Forever, on their YouTube channel, they had like all those typical vox pops and testimonials of the audience who've seen it, and they were like, "Oh, it was great. We loved it. It was the best musical I've ever seen." And like the snippets of the show actually didn't look too bad, and they got the audience numbers.
Well, I mean,
But
they've already.
It's still bad.
It's the Spice Girls. I mean, you've already got like your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it it opened on the West End in December 2012 at Piccadilly Theatre, and around the same time was when the Spice Girls were doing their revival tour and the Olympics and all of that. So they had the right time period as well. But then their plot.
Also, around that period, wasn't there a London bombing?
Yeah.
Coincidence? I think not.
But like, there was also the Ariana concert that got bombed.
I'm beginning to see a theme here.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah.
right. And then she did a charity concert in the same place.
Really?
And I remember thinking, like, haven't these people suffered enough?
Yeah.
Too soon, man. Too soon.
Ooh.
Anyway, go on.
So the thing about Viva Forever, I should probably tell you who it's by, hey. It's written by Jennifer Saunders, which we'll get to who she is a little bit later if you don't know her.
French and Saunders, yeah.
Yeah, Yep.
Oh.
Right on the money.
Hey.
And it was produced by Judy Kramer, who also produced Mamma Mia the musical, which is successful, as we know. And it was directed by Paul
Despite
Garrington.
people having good taste.
Hey, Mamma Mia is a great musical.
I love
It is not.
It's good for what it is.
Do you just hate it, Benny, because it's ABBA music?
He just hates it because people are happy in it and they're not, eating each other.
True.
Yeah.
I think it's the latter.
They're
Yeah.
not eating each other. Yeah. What is it with you
Yeah.
people and eating each other and giant fucking lizards?
Next week, we're going to rewrite Mamma Mia the musical.
So the plot of Viva Forever follows band member Viva, who lives on a houseboat with her mum, and the story starts off with her band getting through to the audition stages of a TV show similar to like The Voice or American Idol, all those kind of shows. That kind
As
of
we
vibe.
can all relate to.
Yeah. And so the band gets through to that stage, and then they go through multiple rounds until they get to the last round. And plot twist, Viva gets through, but her bandmates don't. So she has to go decide whether to follow her dreams or leave her friends. Basically, she follows her dreams and goes on her own.
So she's the Harry Styles of this group.
Yeah. Technically, Zayn left first, but yes.
This is sounding like one of those really bad, early 2000s dance films. Kinda. Yeah. I'm definitely getting a theme.
Step up.
Oh God. My housemate has actually been has been watching a show called The Next Step or whatever it is.
Oh, that's what she was watching.
Yeah. She's been watching
I haven't watched it, but I been tempted to?
It's from what I've heard. Don't.
From the music that was playing the other day, it seems bad.
Yeah, it's insanely scripted, and I'm just imagining if that was a Broadway show or West End show, that would be this.
I was watching. Is it America's Got Talent?
Oh no!
Sure, why not?
Does
it? And they sweeten the crowd.
They did what to the crowd?
They use crowd sweetening.
What's that?
So they'll canned cheering and clapping and all that.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, they'll put that in there because I was watching scenes where the host or one of the judges would say something, and the audience would be dead quiet behind him, but you could hear all this noise.
Oh no! Yeah, so basically all of that happens. Basically, they start singing about, friendship and friendship never ending. You know that lyric in one of the Spice Girls songs, Friendship never ends.
Never ends. Oh,
Thank you. Yeah, that. And, girl power, and apparently there's lots of feminist, it's a girl positive, whatever the word is, musical. But then she leaves her friends for fame, basically. That is basically the whole plot of the musical. Doesn't seem to have any complexity at all.
It's a good life message.
On the 2nd of May 2013, it was decided that the show would close after 7 months, and so on the 29th of June, it closed, losing at least £5 million.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's about $100,000.
Yeah.
Thanks
Think
for
of
that
how
quick
many
math.
Spice Girls CDs you could have bought with that.
Oh, so many. I think I still have my original, actually, somewhere. Memories.
Oh, right. Do you want to hear some reviews?
Reviews?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Daily Telegraph, they said, I tell you what I wanted, what I really, really wanted. I wanted this terrible show to stop. Viva Forever. Absolutely no redeeming features whatsoever. This show is not just bad, it's definitively, monumentally, and historically bad. I shall not dwell on the plot, because goodness knows Jennifer Saunders, its writer, certainly hasn't done.
Oh.
And its producer, Judy Kramer, may profess that she spent some money on it, but I have no idea where it's gone.
Oh, God.
Oh, that is a fucking burial.
Mm-hmm.
No one's seeing that show after that review.
Yep. From The Guardian, the real problem is the songs. For one thing, there aren't enough memorable hits in the career that lasted only 3 albums to support 2 hours of theatre.
Just do Wannabe on a loop.
Well, they actually kind of did a similar thing to that. I can't remember which song it was, but they did one song how it's normally played, and then they did a stripped-back acoustic version of it for whatever reason. The Independent says, charmless, messy, lackluster, so lacking in any truly original or challenging spark of its own. Viva Forever? Forever? I rather think not.
Oof.
I just had, the image in my mind. You know, when Nirvana did Unplugged? Yeah?
You mean Nirvana?
Nirvana.
Yeah. Not the state.
Okay.
Not the entire state.
Yeah, you remember when Nirvana did Unplugged, yeah? And they had the whole stage set up like a funeral? That, but the Spice Girls. All with, acoustic guitars singing, horrible blues songs.
Oh, God.
All right, so to wrap it up, it seems like reviewers agree on one thing, that the writing of the musical is bad. One reviewer said that Saunders is inexperienced for whatever reason. So basically I want to know, how did she get the gig and who is she? Well, what's your name? Dia, you said
Hi.
You said the thing about French and Saunders?
Yeah.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's an English comedian and screenwriter and singer, apparently, as well as an actress. And so looking at her credits...
She was in Shrek 2. She played the fairy godmother.
I was going to mention that because I watched Shrek the other day and I saw her name and I was like,
really?
oh my God, I was just researching her.
I thought it was Meryl Streep.
No, so she's done a lot of writing because she calls herself writer on comedy things. So she's written episodes for the sitcom Absolutely Fabulous, Life and Times of Vivian Vile, and she was in the duo with Dawn French in 2008, which is it just called French and Saunders? I think so.
Oh, fuck, I do know her.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not that funny.
Oh, she's hilarious. What? Absolutely Fabulous is brilliant. You don't know.
No, it's not.
You don't know humour, clearly.
So the thing I want to say is, if everyone's saying it's so sloppy, is it because majority of what she's written prior to this, she's starred in herself, whereas she's not starring in this, therefore maybe she doesn't care what she writes? Or is it just because she's a comedian and comedians don't really write narratives? What do you say, Benny, Mr. Stand-Up Comedian?
I was just thinking, like, you can write a performance that bombs and later on is seen as, like, a very great performance.
Yeah.
Or, like,
I don't think she
it happens
has
with
redeeming
films all the
qualities
time.
with this, though.
All right, then it was just a shit play she wrote.
Yeah.
Sounds like
How much was she?
Well, even
Yeah,
she
how much was
admitted
she
she
paid?
struggled to write a narrative. But, yeah.
Sounds like it's all
Yeah, it sounds like
studios.
her heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
In the videos, all the promos, she's like, yeah, I'm so excited. And the Spice Girls and everyone in the promo videos were like, yeah, we're so excited. Jen Saunders is writing. Like, it's going to be great.
Yeah, of course.
And
But you know
then-
how much was she getting paid to say that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As much as I love, like, colossal failures, I do feel bad when the person has really put their heart and soul to, like, tell their story and it's a huge mess.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I definitely know how it feels to be told you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then again, they told Edward he wasn't good enough. You
Who?
know,
Who?
and they were right.
Who?
Who?
Ed. Oh,
You guys
Ed.
don't know Edward?
Ed
Yeah,
Wood.
yeah.
Ed Wood Jr.
Yeah.
Yes. The who did Planet 9 from Outer Space. Yes. Well, you know what?
Never enjoyed that film.
Well, it's.
I liked Bride of the Monster.
Oh God.
That was great.
he's definitely something.
All right, so Lauren, basically, he was a director who didn't have a lot of money. He had a lot of great ideas, I'd say. But he would make films on, like, a shoestring budget, and he got, like, aging stars and said, basically, here's a bag of heroin, come do my film.
Oh, wow.
That's how you make movies. Like from someone
Back
who
in the
makes
day,
movies,
yeah.
that's how you do it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, right.
I mean, if you were offered money or heroin, which one would you take, Betty?
Why not both? Why can't you take
Yeah.
both? Why is it
Porque no
one
las
or the
dos.
other?
Yeah,
the
on
money
Dia's
and then
film
buy
set, you
heroin.
get paid in money and cocaine.
Yes, I
Wow.
don't know where you get the cocaine from, but you know, well done. All right, what have you done today? What show are you doing, Meggie?
Yeah, what research have you done?
Research.
So let me ask you guys a question. What is the greatest fantasy story of all time?
Greatest fantasy story of all time.
Star Wars?
Oh, Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Yes.
And did you know that there's been many adaptations of Lord of the Rings that have failed?
I have known a few, yes.
So it took a visionary to say, I'm going to take this over 1,000-page book and I'm going to put it on the stage.
Oh, God, no, why?
Mhm.
And that's what we're looking at today, this visionary's work.
Oh, what? What? No!
So he wanted... Now, obviously, you know, when you're putting a book, when you're making, taking a book and making it for the stage, some things have to change.
They're taking the hobbits to
Obviously.
Isengard. They're taking the hobbits to
Yeah,
Isengard.
yeah, you can't keep all the content in. You have to make some artistic changes. So it only makes sense to make it a musical.
Naturally, yeah.
Naturally.
Why not?
So, Lord of the Rings, from what I can read, it had a pretty easy-going rehearsal time. You know, there wasn't really any huge problems in financing or finding actors. The show was first performed in Toronto. Interesting, because there's another show that we're going to be looking at that was performed in Toronto first. It went to the West End in 2007 with a record $25 million budget and closed 1 year later and became the biggest commercial flop in West End history. So what went wrong?
Everything?
Well, I think that I can track down the source of what went wrong. Okay.
You're going deep.
It was made by a gentleman named Wallace, and he was actually an employee of Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Oh, come on. Leave
So
Andrew
there
Lloyd
we go,
Webber
done.
alone. Leave him alone. He's
man.
not that bad.
We're going to have Andrew Lloyd Webber coming and complaining to us.
I don't think
I
that
doubt
Andrew
it.
Lloyd Webber has the time,
No.
He's too-
or possibly even knows who we
He's
are.
too busy making good musicals, Well, majority
Okay,
good musicals.
but let's hear about this performance in the numbers.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay? The Lord of the Rings musical is the most expensive musical ever produced in the West End.
Oh, God.
It begins... Watch. It had a cast of 50 people performing on a 40-ton revolving stage that contained 17 elevators. Costume-wise, the production sports 500 pieces of armor, 150 weapons, and a mind-boggling amount of hair extensions. Yes.
God, you look at the Lord of the Rings films and how intense they were. I mean, they had a couple $1 billion, and then to
Yes.
put that on stage.
Oh, sorry, I'll just correct myself. Kevin Wallace was actually the producer, who was a former employee of Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Ah,
I think that the performance started off about 3.5 hours, and when they took it to West End, they had to shave it down to about 3 hours, so they ended up taking about 45 minutes off.
No.
Which made the performance feel very rushed and not very cohesive. That being said, I actually do praise the producer and the director for trying to bring something this big to the stage. You don't have enough of these wildly, absurdly huge, expensive shows.
Just put a multi-billion-dollar blockbuster on stage. What could go wrong?
I want one that, clearly has no commercial value.
Oh, no.
I just want someone to walk out tomorrow, I want Andrew Lloyd Webber to walk out tomorrow and go, so my next project will be The Day After Tomorrow.
Oh, fuck.
It's a film that touched me greatly.
Oh.
It's about 15 years old. And I feel it's time to turn it into a musical.
Oh, how would you even? It's about the weather.
I want a giant a giant Statue of Liberty and all the snow piling onto it.
Oh, God.
Real water onto the stage. I want a splash zone where people get water, water pours on them and they're up to their necks in
Where
the
they
ocean.
drown. Where you just drown the audience, that's fine.
Yes.
That's fine.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some of the critic reception to this. The Toronto Star renamed it Board of the Rings. While Variety... Now, this is going to be a theme, okay? These reviewers really love puns. So this one's from the New York Times. Lord of the Rings.
Hey.
One reviewer wrote, "For what it's worth, I think the London production, with 40 minutes shaved off and an interval shaved off, is commercially more viable."
Huh, well, there you go.
But also, one thing I'd rather like to talk about, a lot of people said that a lot of critics said the music they felt didn't match the tone of the performance.
How so?
They felt it was more too upbeat and jaunty for The Lord of the Rings. That being said, the Times called the director brave and said that he had made a very epic piece of popular theatre. The Sun said that the vocals were drowned out by the massive band and they couldn't actually hear the lyrics of the song.
That is the worst when that happens.
Yeah, but this is something I wanted to get, is that critics destroyed this performance. But according to the director, the producer, and the cast, everyone who came up to them said they really enjoyed the performance. And, yeah, loved it. And from what I could see online of just people who saw the performance and decided to write a review for it, they seem to really enjoy it as well. So there seems to be this sort of differing opinion between critics and the general public.
Yeah, but you always get that. I don't think they've ever actually agreed on anything.
Yeah, I find that a paying audience is generally a lot more nicer to a performance than critics are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a critic's job to critique, you know. They're always going to look for the bad things as well. And they look at things from a more professional point of view, I suppose.
Oh, I just assumed it's because critics don't have empathy.
That as well, yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, they're not as emotionally invested in it as someone who's an audience member who might perhaps know the cast or whatever.
Yes.
It's good because it's sort of interesting because the Lord of the Rings is one of those things that I would say that you can't bring to the stage. It's just too massive. But that being said, I would say the same thing about Harry Potter, and there's been success with that.
Yeah, but Harry Potter's not heavy high fantasy, you know. It's very light fantasy in comparison to Lord of the Rings, where it's a whole world, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it'd be easier to do it in parts, like Peter Jackson did?
Like how they're doing The Cursed Child? Yeah, probably a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it's not really, I just don't see it as a musical story. I really
Cursed Child
don't.
was also written for the stage, like it was written as a play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So, Laura, Dia, what have you picked that I'm sure won't be divisive to the audience?
What have I picked? Ah, God, just let me think of my memory. All alone in the moonlight, I can smile happy all days. Life was beautiful then. I forget how the lyrics, the fucking tune goes, but I am doing...
Hey, you don't have to win me over, I hate it.
Oh, good, fantastic. I am doing Cats. Now, a lot of you are probably like, but what? Cats is one of the longest running shows in Broadway and West End history. And I'm like, yeah.
And I would argue one of the most beloved performances.
You know,
Lindsay Ellis recently did a video on it saying how much she enjoyed Cats.
Well, it's just nuts. When it started out, it wasn't that popular. And, okay, the reason I hate Cats, not because of the film, all right? Tom Hooper, who directed the most recent
It's because they
Cats.
didn't release the butthole cut.
Yes, it's the butthole thing. But no, Tom Hooper, who's the director of Cats, is one of my all-time favourite directors. So I'm very unbiased because I hate the film and I hate the stage play. So some friends came up to Melbourne a couple years ago and we all saw Cats, and I thought it would be a nice thing. And it was one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my life. And since then I've always had a growing resentment of it. And Andrew Lloyd Webber as well. I love him. I love Phantom of the Opera and, you know, Jesus Christ Superstar and all that. But Cats is just disgusting. So pretty much, you know what? Pretty much the story of Cats is, you know, tonight is the one special night a year when the tribe of Jellicile cats reunites to celebrate who they are. One by one, they tell their stories for the amusement of old Detrimony, their wise and benevolent leader, who must choose one of the cats to ascend to the heaven-side layer and be reborn into a whole new Jellicile life. Yeah, pretty weird already. Like, so I'm speaking from an outside... I don't consider myself a thespian. I don't. I am a filmmaker. A thespian, not a lesbian.
I know what you said.
A thespian. So I can see why a lot of theater people love Cats. Like, it's very theatrical, but at the same time,
I think it's because most theater people like myself are furries.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Can we not go down that road?
That. So a bit of...
It's not a sexual thing, it's a lifestyle
I'm still scarred from those pictures you sent me.
Oh, God. Stop sending those pictures, Benji. Anyway, so some background on Cats. It premiered on the 11th of May 1981 in London, at the New London Theatre. So it started off on West End, which is pretty cool. So it was based on T.S. Eliot's 1939 poetry collection called Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. And
so if I had a time machine, I know who I should go back in time and kill.
T.S. Eliot, yes.
Yep.
So I'll just read you one of the poems. This is...
I don't need to Andrew Lloyd Webber because, I can do it any day, really.
Be nice. Anyway, so I'll read you one of the poems. This is Mr. Mistopheles, or an excerpt from it. He is quiet and small. He is black. From his ears to the tip of his tail, he can creep through the tiniest crack, he can walk on the narrowest rail, he can pick any card from a pack, he is equally cunning with dice, he is always deceiving you into believing that he is only hunting for mice. He can play any trick with a cork, or a spoon and a bit of fish paste. If you look for a knife or a fork, and you think it is merely misplaced, you have seen it one moment and then it is gone, but you'll find next week lying on the lawn. So that's one of the poems from the book of the Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. Now, unfortunately...
A very scathing critique of capitalism. Yes.
Yes, definitely, a cat that goes and steals things from you and then returns it for less value. Oh, but let's not get political now, shall we? Unfortunately, I've never read anything of T.S. Eliot, so I can't really comment on how good of a writer he is, but he is very renowned in his field, so I don't know what went wrong. But since you guys are talking about reviews and you guys are, mentioning all the critics' reviews and the Guardian and the Independent, I'm just going to read some reviews I found on the internet, okay? Tedious, confusing, pointless, indulgent, stupefying. Don't see it if you value clear storytelling or really any kind of storytelling or dramatically compelling songs or your time. Confusing, great staging, absurd, acid trip on stage? No, really, what the fuck? Banal, disappointing, dated, enchanting, slow. Don't see it if you want a coherent show with a clear plot and relatable characters. Disappointing, dated, boring. Don't see it if you want to be if you don't want to be disappointed. This classic is dated. I left after the first act. The costumes, makeup are pretty cool. Don't see it. It doesn't live up to the hype, and it's a bit of a snooze fest. If you want to see great theatre, don't see it with a cohesive plot and powerhouse singing. Disappointing, confusing, banal, dated, disappointing, overrated, simply terrible dated. Don't see it. Avoided the original, but regret seeing the revival. Hard to believe this dreadful piece of mediocrity ran for 18 years, now and for never. So as you can see, it hasn't been very liked by people. Now, my review would be probably the same. Cats. And you know what? They decided to make a film out of it. Basically, what happens is, instead of most theatre where it's, a linear story, what happens is each cat sort of gets up, does their dance, and tells a story of who they are. Some cats are people, some cats aren't people. Some cats are cats, some cats are large, some cats are small. In the film, for example, they keep changing the size of the cats. If you watch them, sometimes the cat's about the size of your ankle, sometimes they're up to your waist.
It represents their ego.
Their ego, yes. I guess so.
Yes.
So. But it's a sung-through musical, and I hate it. So, yes. Cats, yes. Dude, yeah. There you go. That's my review. I hate cats.
I always wanted the sequel Dogs.
Dogs.
Is that a cheap joke?
That's terrible. But you know what? There probably is something out there about dogs. Hopefully it actually has a storyline.
Yeah.
But hey, look, a new day has begun.
Okay, this is You Can't Rewrite Theatre, and today we're looking at a classic play that I love. So, Grease.
Is the word,
it's a 1971 music.
Is the word.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. Shut up. It's a 1971 musical by Jim Jacobs and Warren Casey, featuring rockabilly songs, 50s car culture, and greasers. It focuses on two teens in love in 1959, greaser Danny Zuko and the Australian Sandy Olsen. They are in love, they spend time at the beach. After this love affair, they both return to school. What they don't know is that they're both attending the same school. Danny's the leader of the T-Birds, a group of greasers.
Geezers. I guess they're geezers now, aren't they?
I'm leaving that in. Yes. While Sandy hangs out with the Pink Ladies, a group of pink-wearing girls led by Rizzo. I spelled her name wrong in my notes. When they clash at Rydell's pep rally, Danny isn't the same Danny from the beach. Comedy and musical numbers ensue, and the pair ultimately fall in love again. I hate this play.
Why? It's a brilliant play and a brilliant film. Oh,
it's got terrible messages. Songs are redundant.
I admit, yes, it is a bit, you have to change your way in order to get the guy.
Change yourself and the boy will love you.
Yeah.
That's not even the message that I take most anger with. It's the whole ending. So
the flying car?
Danny No. Danny emotionally manipulates Sandy and says he doesn't like her, and then finally gets a date with her. And then when they're at the fucking drive-in cinema, he forces himself on her, it's expected that they're gonna have sex. And when she says no and leaves, he gets all sad that he's lost the woman because
why, Sandy?
Why did you leave me? Type of thing. And then she just changes herself and goes with him anyway. What a great message. So, yeah, the basic message of Grease is force yourself on a woman and she'll fall in love with her and become hotter.
Yeah, I mean, the message isn't the best, but at the same time, you got to look at when it was set. That unfortunately was the mindset of a lot of people back then. So you got to look at things for their era.
I don't think that's a good argument either, because it's set in the 50s, but it wasn't made in the 50s.
No, it was made in the 80s, wasn't it?
It was in the 70s.
70s, yeah, even back then.
Surely but surely they would have known that this sort of stuff is wrong, and they comment on it without irony. But anyway, this is a comedy segment, so all right.
Supposed to be.
So in this segment, we're going to rewrite Grease and make it better because it's a steaming pile of shit. Lauren, what have you got?
Okay, mine's a little bit more lighthearted than Mel's. Basically, I got rid of the whole high school and the friends and the cars and basically everything about Greece, but just kept Sandy and Danny. So we're going to throw it back to ancient Greece, where Danny, he's a sculptor, and one day he sculpts a beautiful woman made of ivory. Now this sculpture is supposed to be a gift for the king of Rydell, but after seeing how beautiful and realistic she looks, he falls in love with the statue and names her Sandy.
So he's got to fuck a statue.
I love it how we're back in Europe again with you.
Couldn't help it. There's no Jews this time, I promise.
Just him just carving that statue, and he's like, oh, that's a bit of all right.
Nah, because isn't that a Greek tragedy or a Greek myth about...
Yeah, so I took it from Pygmalion.
Yes, that's what it is.
Where he falls in love with his statue.
Yes.
See, suddenly, sex dolls aren't that weird.
I mean, they've been around for a while, right? Anyway, continue, Lauren.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm the host. Continue, Lauren.
How about no?
Mein Gott.
So over the course of the summer, Danny becomes so obsessed with Sandy that he starts to imagine her as a real person, caressing her and kissing her lips. He imagines taking her out in public, walking along the beach, hand in hand, and everything else that comes with being in love. At the end of the summer...
Does he just, load it up into a wheelbarrow and just walk it down the street?
Well, this is Greece, so I don't think they had wheelbarrows back then, but sure.
In ancient
In
Greece.
ancient Greece,
In ancient
yes.
Greece, not Greece as in, the 1940s. I'm sure they had wheelbarrows in the 1940s or 50s.
And so at the end of the summer, the king comes to pick up the statue from Danny, and Danny is too embarrassed to admit that he's fallen in love and desires Sandy, so he lets the statue go.
Aww.
But that night...
So essentially, Danny got cucked by this king.
What?
Oh, God. Yes and no, it sounds like. Or maybe that's where the story goes.
Oh.
So that night, Danny dreams of Sandy, and in the dream, she comes to life and has long blonde hair, blue eyes, and a fair complexion. She's sweet and softly spoken and tells Danny that she loves him. But in the dream, Danny is a jerk, and he humiliates Sandy, telling her she's just a statue and that he created her and that he would never love a woman made of stone, especially one as ugly as her. Now, Danny wakes up from his dream, desperate to make things right with Sandy. Changing from his drab sculpting clothes, Danny puts on his finest clothes and races to the King of Rydell's castle to steal back Sandy. Steal back Sandy, who is still a sculpture.
Yes. It's not. That's the twist in your story.
Her name is
it's
Sandy.
Not Sandy. It's Stan.
You haven't been writing me.
At first, Danny tries scaling the walls of the castle, but they're too high and he falls off into the surrounding moat. Next, Danny tries fighting the armed guards, but all he has to fight with is his sculpting tools, and the guards beat him up. Finally, Danny tries running. Turns out he's a pretty fast runner. He manages to run past the guards, into the castle, up the stairs, and into the statue chamber where the king keeps his sculpture collection.
Some great security going on in this place.
Yeah. So Danny picks up Sandy and runs back down the stairs, out of the castle, back to his studio, without being stopped at all.
When he just picks up the statue and just
runs.
And just legs it.
Yeah.
Like,
Strong and fast.
He's real fast.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wonder about his strength.
I mean, what's the statue made out of? Like, what kind of stone?
He just picks up the statue with one hand and uses the other hand to push the guards out of the way as he's running.
Details, schmeetails.
You've never actually said how big the statue is.
Doesn't matter.
Like
it does not matter. Size does not matter.
Well.
Tell us more, dear.
Continue, Lauren.
Back in his studio, Danny admires his sculpture, wishing he had never let her go and wishing for her to be real, so that he can marry her. The goddess of love hears Danny's wishes and turns Sandy into flesh when he kisses her on the lips.
Aphrodite.
But now, the king and his guards have caught up with Danny, but Danny pleads to them to let him and Sandy go, confessing his love for Sandy and expressing their desires to get married in front of the king. The king, of course, is not going to allow such perversion in his kingdom, so the king forces Danny and Sandy out of the kingdom, threatening to kill both of them if they return. So Danny and Sandy run off into the sunset together. The end.
Aww.
Aww.
I like it. That's sweet. That is sweet. Did you? And I like it how it's Greece, set in Greece. I like that.
Yeah,
That's good.
I didn't even realise that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
Very clever. Very clever.
Unintentional,
slow.
but I'll take credit for it
Yeah,
anyway.
there you go.
Yeah.
A brilliant pun there. Well done. Well done.
Okay, dear. What have you got? Where are you taking Greece?
Dun 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 dun. No, not Star Wars. So
Oh, that'd be amazing.
right, what did I? No, I didn't think to do that. God,
I'm your boyfriend, Sandy. No, it's impossible.
Oh my God! Yes, but no. God, you guys really go into all the details of writing. I sort of just give like an elevator pitch. Anyway,
I don't know. I just have a few notes. That's.
Oh, good. Okay, so I'm not the worst person in the world. That's good.
I'm gonna shoot from the hip on my one.
Oh dear God, no. Anyway, so I'm not sure if you guys have seen the film Jennifer's Body.
I've heard of it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so pretty much what it's about is these two high school girlfriends go to this show at their local bar. It's an out-of-town band, and the band set the place on fire, kidnap the girl Jennifer, sacrifice her to a demon in order so they could get famous. But they botch up the sacrifice, and she's possessed by a demon.
What?
And then Jennifer goes back to high school and goes around pretty much eating all the boys who are interested in her.
Oh, yum.
Usual,
Yeah.
high school stuff.
Oh, yeah, I did that all the time in high school. It's very, very girl power-ish. And like Benny was saying before, Greece is very sort of not violence against women, just sort of...
No, there is violence against women in Greece.
Yeah, it's just got a poor message for women. So I'm imagining, right, Greece set in the modern day, and it's like Jennifer's body, right? So, Danny and Sandy are at the beach, and they see like this out of town band, and they go to the band and they enjoy it, and then the place burns down, and Danny gets kidnapped by the band. Because he's a virgin, but he's not actually. And they go to sacrifice him, thinking he's a virgin, but he's not. Which they leave him to die, and because he's not a virgin, he gets saved and taken over by this demon. Then, when they go to school, Sandy's new, and she sees Danny, and Danny's being really weird towards her. Oh, okay. Anyway, so the whole story goes about Sandy realizing that Danny's been possessed, and she's not sure if he loves her or not, and Danny's just going around pretty much eating everyone. It's exactly the same thing, just every character Danny comes in contact with who isn't seen again dies. So, for example, like the office ladies, he eats both of them, he eats the principal, And when they fly off in the car, that's not an illusion.
No one's noticing.
Yeah, no one's noticing. And Sandy's too worked up. She's like, you know what? He's not seeing me for me. Maybe I should become a Satanist. So she becomes a Satanist and worships him. And at the end, when they're flying in the car, that's not like make-believe. That's actually his powers. He's actually floating up in the car with her, and everyone's actually freaked out in this edition. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
So it's not like a hallucination brought on by drowning.
No, no, it's actually real. So yeah, that's my Grease, which I think would be really good, and I call it hair gel. Yes, there you go, hair gel the musical. So
wait, you should have said like the demon comes into their body through lightning, so you could call it Grease Lightning.
Grease Lightning, yeah.
Yes.
That's how he kills them. He zaps them and then he eats them. So there you go. So that's my take. All right, who's next?
I like it. Good. So Mel has written a novel again for us.
Yeah, you ready for it?
So, yes. Mel is the member of the Melodramatics who can't be here today.
Shall I put on Mel's voice?
But she's here in spirit.
Hello, my name is Melanie. No, that's not really how she speaks.
Uncanny.
I know.
She's got a bit. She's got a bit of an Australian accent.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, because Sandy is Australian, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Danny.
If she came on with the most bogan Aussie accent.
All right, I'll put. No.
Oh, Danny, right? Remember when we shagged down at the beach?
Oh God.
I can't believe you do that to me, Danny. I went and became a cheerleader for you.
Yeah, mate. All right. So Mel has put the setting as a Mars colony in the 1960s retro space aesthetic, like Forbidden Planet and Barbarella, even 1927 Metropolis.
Nice.
Mars colony Rydell has been a separate country from Earth for more than 50 years and has developed a separate culture. Anyone from Earth is considered an outsider.
So they colonized Mars before,
Yeah.
because it's set in the 1960s, yeah?
Yep.
Mars before Moon.
1960s retro space aesthetic.
Oh, aesthetic. Okay, so it's still in the future, but yeah, okay.
Yep. Anyone from Earth? I can't read. Anyone from Earth is considered an outside influence as they are trying to leave the old ways behind on a wrecked planet. though it is common for Earthers to come to the colony for holidays. And this is where Sandy comes in. So Sandy is a colonist from Earth who was only meant to be on Mars for a holiday, but decided to stay, which surprises Danny and makes him act more Earth-like, much to the dismay of the T-Birds, his friends, in the Technician Maintenance Department, which are responsible for the upkeep of Rydell, think lower-class workers.
I like it. This is hard sci-fi.
It sounds a bit like The Expanse. I like it.
Ooh.
Rizzo decides to take Sandy on and employ her as part of the Space Aesthetic Department, known locally as the Pink Ladies, who are responsible for all public advertising, aesthetic design, and architecture for the Mars colony. Unknown to Sandy...
And I'm sure that he's up...
Oh my gosh,
I'm sure that he's up to
interrupting me!
Okay.
What are you going to say?
I was going to say, I'm sure he's well and up to date with all sexual harassment laws in the workplace.
Yes.
Okay.
Unknown to Sandy, Rizzo runs the Pink Ladies as a sort of upper-class mafia gang and have many people in the colony under her control. As Sandy settles into Rydell life, she discovers that Danny is in fact a bit of a wanker. Danny knew that Rizzo would take Sandy under her wing in the Pink Ladies and was trying to use Sandy as a ticket to higher class of Rydell. Turns out he is very handsy as well. When Rizzo discovers this, she pays 2 other members of the T-Birds to conspire against Danny and make it all look like he lost his hands in a freak accident by accidentally pushing...
This sounds like Goodfellas.
By accidentally pushing him into a teleport beam, and his hands are teleported away to an unknown location, probably the depths of space.
Wait, the song that he sings at the end is Handy! Handy!
Oh boy, so many connotations there.
Yeah.
Danny is able to get mechanical hands to replace them, but these hands do not provide him with a sense of touch. He and the T-Birds start to build a small craft so they can illegally return to Earth and seek asylum out of an old ship that they called Greased Lightning.
Hey.
Rizzo has a pregnancy scare, and knowing that whoever the baby daddy is will seek to share her power, she undergoes an abortion, with the help of Sandy, who has knowledge of ancient Earth methods to do this without raising suspicion of medical personnel who could stand Rizzo down from her position, because Sandy has bought some sort of emergency contraception pill from Earth. She's grateful for Sandy's help, and she and the Pink Ladies give her a space makeover, making her fully fit their aesthetic now so that she is a full member of the colony. Rizzo takes a sample of the pills and begins manufacturing them so that all women on Mars can have access to emergency contraception. Sandy finally feels at home among the other empowered women. Sandy, being the nice girl that she is, goes to visit Danny and see how he is doing with his new hands. She stumbles across Greased Lightning and the T-Birds' plans to escape, and Danny confronts her about how corrupt the system is here and how they are basically slaves to Rizzo with no rights. He begs her to go back to Earth with him, back to the culture where he would not feel oppressed, but she refuses. She goes back to Rizzo and tells her of their plan to escape. She's pissed. One of the T-Birds was the baby daddy and is now trying to flee from her, though it is never revealed which one.
Oofed.
They wait until the annual Rydell Festival, the festival that celebrates the colonization of Mars, and wait for the T-Birds to emerge with their ship. They know that they will stage it as an entry to the annual space race, but then use the opportunity to fly back to Earth once they are in open space. The race begins, and the Pink Ladies gather on a hidden vantage point to watch. Sandy takes off her shirt and reveals that during her makeover, she chose to have one breast replaced with a laser weapon for self-defense. From a distance, all the T-Birds see is with her shirt off, and as they make their escape, they start calling lewd comments from the ship, believing there to be no repercussions for them, The rest of the pink ladies also take their shirts off, revealing that they have had the same makeover. The T-Birds have an oh shit moment as they realise what is happening. They're blasted from the sky as they try to make their escape, and Danny initially survives the explosion as his spacesuit is not punctured. But he realises that the gravity of space means that his trajectory is into the darkness of space, not back to the habitable planet. He yells and waves his arms to get attention of onlookers, but no one sees. In space, no one can hear you scream.
Ooh.
It is revealed at a later time that the emergency contraception did not work for Rizzo. The fate of the child is left ambiguous.
Oh,
Dun, dun, dun.
Grease 2.
Now we have some explanations. Do you want to hear them?
Yes, let's hear our explanations.
So the breast lasers, they're a reference to ancient Amazonian women tribes.
Who would cut off one of their tits? Yeah.
Yeah, they'd slice off their breasts in order to make armour easier to wear and easier to fight. But it's also a reference to the fact that Olivia Newton-John, who played Sandy in the original film, suffered from breast cancer. And so this is an allusion in the script, makes a breast a weapon of power rather than a sexual object. The breast can be deadly to both the woman and their victim.
Ooh.
Danny's hands, they're symbolic of labour class, but also refers to ancient punishments of thieves who would have their hands cut off if they tried to steal something, in the case of Sandy's virtue. Contraception and pregnancy. Traditionally, women have had to give up positions of power or jobs when married or pregnant. In this case, Rizzo maintains her position of power as she has a support network.
Oh.
And the oppression of working class men. In literature, this is called vagina dentata, which translates to vagina with teeth, concept that a woman can take away a man's power through sexuality, or that the idea of penetration will result in castration. In this script.
Have any of you guys seen the movie Teeth?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
That's such a good film.
Yes, let's not discuss that.
But in this script, there's a role reversal in this colony. The aesthetic work that the women do is considered more essential than the technical work the men do, which raises the question of what this futuristic society values. There you have it.
I dig it. Okay. And I like the explanations. Yeah. I should do that next time.
I feel like we could make that a film.
I mean, with the proper budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dear, get a credit card, max it out.
Not again.
Okay. So I guess it's my turn. Okay,
Yes,
so I looked at the themes of Greece, and one of the themes is car culture. It's very car-centric. What other movie is really centric on cars?
Cars?
Mad Max.
Oh.
Sorry. Especially Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, yeah.
So it's set in the future in a post-apocalyptic wilderness.
Again with the
The
post-apocalypse.
nuclear wasteland ages everybody. So even the teenagers look like they're 40 to 45 years old. Danny meets a girl in another village, separate for his village. He spends some time with her. He likes her. He explains that he's just a nomadic traveller. But truth behold, he's actually part of another tribe called Rydale that's going to invade and take them all for slaves. So Rydale invades in this place and they take all the people for slaves. But Sandy is very beautiful. So they decide that she can't be like the other slaves. So she gets offered to one of the high-priced gang leaders, Rizzo. Sandy explains that she actually met a person from this gang known as Danny. So, during the celebration of winning the war, Rizzo decides that Danny and Sandy should meet because they are currently at war with the T-Birds, and this could be a way to sort of, find a chink in the armor. Danny refuses to admit that he knows Sandy, crushing her. Several years go by. This is a long form story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, not everything happens in a semester. There is now peace, uneasy peace, between the Pink Ladies and the T-Birds. With the marriage of Kaneki and Rizzo, the two warring factions are finally working together. But as I said, it's very uneasy. They're expected to produce an heir. Rizzo has a feeling that she is pregnant, but there's something wrong. One day, Sandy notices that Rizzo has a black eye, and she explains that Kaneki has been beating her. Meanwhile, over at the T-Bird camp, Danny notices that Kaneki is a lot more frustrated than usual. He questions him, and Kaneki finally admits that he doesn't agree with their way of life. Danny is like, what do you mean, our way of life? Our way of life is good. And Kaneki's like, I don't know, man. I've always been forced to, be with women. Isn't there another way that maybe, I could do the stuff you do with women, but with men?
Absurd.
Yes. He explains that he has these urges for Danny. But Danny explains that he is still very much in love with Sandy. This infuriates Kaneki, whatever his name is. Kaneki. Yes. He then goes home and beats Rizzo, forcing a miscarriage.
Yes. What a dick.
Enraged, Sandy rescues Rizzo and now admits her true feelings for her. Rizzo and Sandy have been in love the whole time and have been secretly happy. They start secretly planning their escape. Rizzo manages to find a gun. She shoots Kaneki right in the head. For what he did. He deserves it. He's an asshole, yeah? And the two run away into the wasteland together. A distraught Danny realizes that he can no longer be with the woman he loves. This forces him to go completely insane. He then takes a wig from, one of the people they one of the spoils of war, and then puts it on Kaneki's body and wanders out into the wasteland with his Sandy.
Oh. Okay. From the mind of Benji.
It's a light-hearted comedy.
Yeah. Says the man who loves Cannibal Holocaust.
Yes. See, I feel that we needed to address the clearly homosexual relationship between Kaneki and Danny.
Well, that's a fantasy of every young girl, but sure.
Yes. There's got to be some good fan fiction of that.
It's time for Benji's Weird Theater.
Okay, this is Benji's Weird Theater, and today we're looking at The Evil Dead. The Evil Dead musical takes all the elements of the cult classic films The Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness, and combines them with one of the craziest, funniest, most bloodthirsty theatrical experiences of all time. 5 college students go to an abandoned cabin in the woods and accidentally unleash an evil force that turns them all into demons. It's up to Ash, a housewares employee from S-Mart, and his trusty chainsaw to save the day.
Shop smart. Shop S-Mart.
What did we think of this?
Yeah, well, watching this, Have
you guys seen the films?
No, I have not. I was going to say that I've never seen them, and after watching this, I'm thoroughly confused. I had my housemates watching it with me, one of who has actually seen it, and he kept telling me that, that's in the film. So I have to ask, the hand chopping, is that in the film?
That is one of my favourite scenes from Evil Dead 2.
I have to ask also, when he chops off her head and that kind of stuff, in the play, it's very obvious that they're spurting fake blood. In the movie, do they do it better than that, or it's kind of cheap as well?
They do it better, but he's still banging her head on everything.
Yeah.
And the moose as well, the talking moose head, is that in the film?
Yes, that is an Evil Dead 2. I should explain, Evil Dead was made by Sam Raimi and co-produced by Bruce Campbell, and it was made on a shoestring budget in 1981, I'm going to say. If I'm wrong, don't yell at me. But it went on to become quite a cult classic, mainly for its use of gore and special effects and innovative filming techniques.
Mm.
And when they made Evil Dead 2, Sam Raimi had the suspicion that a lot of the people seeing it in the cinema wouldn't have seen Evil Dead 1. So he used the first 20 minutes of Evil Dead 2 to essentially make a remake of Evil Dead 1. And then lead it into Evil Dead 2. In Evil Dead 1, it's 5 people who go to a cabin. They all become demons apart from Ash, and Ash kills them. At the start of Evil Dead 2, it's just him and his girlfriend going to the cabin. And his girlfriend becomes a demon, and then the other people arrive.
That makes sense why the storyline seems a bit repeated when those new people arrive.
Yeah.
Is it Annie who's like, it's her dad's cabin?
Yeah. Which is straight from Evil Dead 2.
And so Army of Darkness, is that the bit where he goes to like the 13th century? Or 1300s?
Yes.
Okay.
That's actually my favourite of the
because that was very confusing. I was like, well, this is different. This is okay, but that's canon. Okay, good.
I can explain this because there's different productions have different endings. And I tried to show you 2 different productions that had 2 different endings. So some productions have the Evil Dead 2 ending, where Bruce Campbell goes back in time, Ash goes back in time, and is hailed as the king, and he's trapped there. And then others have the Army of Darkness ending, where he goes back in time, kills the Deadites, comes forward in time, and works at S-Mart again and kills demons in S-Mart.
Is something wrong, Annie?
Oh, no, it's nothing.
Okay.
It's just that there's this trend in my life, and every time I think it's about to go away, it creeps in again.
Well, what could possibly be wrong?
Well, all the men in my life keep getting killed by Kandarian demons.
What was that?
I said, all the men in my life keep getting killed by Kandarian demons.
All the men in your life keep getting killed by Kandarian demons.
First there was Ed, a really nice guy. He didn't talk too much, but I didn't mind. I was all set to marry him, but before I put on my dress, Ed was killed by a Kandarian demon. Then there was Daddy, who I could count on. He loved to read that Necronomicon. We sit at night playing board games. But he can't sink my battleship now, cause Dad was killed by a Kandarian demon. They say love is cruel, and I believe them. My heart's always broken, cause the men in my life keep getting killed by Kandarian demons.
Annie, baby, I know it seems bad now. It always does. But I think you're exaggerating a touch, Sugar Bee. Sure, your father and your fiancé were killed by Kandarian demons, but there's no way all the men in your life could have been killed by Kandarian demons.
Oh no! It was high school, senior prom.
Oh, yeah!
Going with my steady Howie Brom. The perfect nights I'd always dream. But his stairway to heaven began. Hal was killed by a Kandarian demon. All my Kandarian
That's actually something I really liked, the musical addressing. So in Evil Dead 2, he goes up to the cabin with his girlfriend. She gets killed, and then, like, you know, the other girl shows up with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend gets killed, and by the end of the night, they're making out.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. It's like,
Does
you're
she-
not going to grieve?
When she strips off in that scene, like, does that happen in the movie? Like, she just progressively loses clothing. Annie, like, as she's fighting, she just rips her skirt and then rips her shirt, and eventually, I'm pretty sure she's just left in her bra and her skirt is very short.
If I remember correctly, it's not that bad, but she does, like, lose quite a bit of clothes.
Yeah. Just
actually,
the way they do it is...
Ash's clothes getting continually ripped and changed is something that's quite good. I actually did notice some little Easter eggs that I wrote down. Okay, so when his sister Cheryl comes in and they say to her, "Oh, you know, you're a square. Why don't you read a book?" She picks up How to Make Love the Bruce Campbell way, and Bruce Campbell was the original actor who played Ash.
Shut your pie hole, Cheryl.
There's another reference when the second woman comes off the plane and she talks about Spider-Man being poorly directed. That's because Sam Raimi. Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering where that was. I was like, "There's a connection here." Oh God.
There was no Oldsmobile.
No. Oh, I tell you what, that's Cheryl, always running scared of old audio recordings.
Yeah.
And I mean, is this now really the time to be acting like a stupid bitch?
I'm just going to go outside and just, like, you know, just investigate.
Yeah, without the people. Yeah. Wait, no, what am I doing? I'm the smartest one here. I can't go outside without my jacket.
I was actually surprised they were very nice to Cheryl in this version.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, because in the original and in the remake, she gets raped by the dead.
Gross.
Yeah, so she goes out and the dead is possessing a tree, and the tree... Yeah.
Oh, that would explain that scene. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that why she says that's a bit inappropriate? Is that a reference to that scene?
Oh, God.
Yeah. I actually think the remake does it better.
Huh.
I loved when she became the dead. Like, her acting was just great, and she was really sassy. And then when the other girl, was it the girlfriend who she became dead as well, started singing, Cheryl every now and again popped out of the cellar and, like, joined in the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, the characterizations really changed and it became really upbeat. I dig that, yeah.
Because, like, at the start I was like, oh my gosh, this Cheryl bitch, she's really annoying. But then she became the dead. I was like, wow, that's cool.
It's kind of because Cheryl played 2 or 3 different characters in it. So 2 or 3 characters were combined into Cheryl. So in the first one, Cheryl's in the basement and, you know, Ash has to do away with her. But when they got into Evil Dead 2 territory, rather than having her killed, they just got... Because in Evil Dead 2, it's actually the girl's mum who's down in the basement.
Oh, yeah, it showed that in that video.
Yeah, so rather than just, like, getting someone else, they just continued it with Cheryl, which I thought was very smart.
Yeah, try to merge them together. Yeah. Huh. There you go.
I loved the character Jake.
Jake.
Yeah, the hillbilly.
Oh, yeah, the most reliable man.
How do we even know if this guy's reliable?
Why, you no good. City slicking, V-neck sweater wearing, over cologne, Starbucks drinking son of a gun. with your flapping lips and your pompous ass attitude, how do you know if I'm reliable? Who's the world's most reliable human being? Who's the one folks call for help with everything? Who's the one man you can count on when your life is at stake? It's good old reliable Jake. Who can help you when you've lost your key? Or when you need double bypass surgery? Who can be your partner in a two-man luge? And who's the best wingman for scoring cougs? Who's every senior citizen's favorite mime? And who can pass Cavassier like Busta Rhymes? Who was the inspiration for the Shamrock Shake? It's good old reliable Jake. Who invented the theory of relativity? And who wrote Jackie Chan's autobiography? Who was the last man to walk on the moon? And who won his 4th Oscar for directing Platoon? Thank you. Who's the point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies? And who coined the phrase, for shizzle my nizzle? It was me, can't you see? I ain't no fake. I'm good old reliable Jake. Do you believe I can get you to the path?
I believe.
And do you believe that I can get you to the cabin?
I believe.
You need a guide to get you through them woods. And I know that trail, and I knows it good. You can trust in me, there's no mistake. I'm good old reliable Jake. You can trust in me, there's no mistake. I'm good old reliable Jake.
He is exactly how he was in the film.
Very, fucking, what is it? Something in Tucker? Something in Tucker versus Evil?
Dale
and Tucker. Dale
yeah.
and Tucker versus Evil. Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Well, that's very much based on the Evil Dead.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's an absolute coward, and then just out of nowhere just pulls a gun, tells them they're going to go outside.
And that's what it's like
Yeah.
in the film. Oh.
He also does get stabbed by the girl as well.
Oh, okay. I really want to watch these now. They're definitely on my list.
Yeah.
Fantastic films.
Yeah, I watched Beastmaster the other night, so I think I'm prepared for for Evil Dead.
Why did you watch Beastmaster?
It was on Amazon Prime, and I'm trying to watch a new film every night, and I heard it being mentioned in Supernatural, so I'm like, oh, okay. And my eyes. Yeah.
Oh, one thing I loved, and I praise the director for doing this. When in Evil Dead 2, when the portal to the past is opened up, because they didn't have a lot of money when they were making this film.
Yeah.
They kind of sucked him through the door, and they put him on a wire.
Oh, God.
Bruce Campbell Ash on a wire, and just kind of flung him between the trees.
Yeah.
But he got a little bit out of control,
Oh, no.
and so he's just spinning around and around as they're doing it.
Oh.
And I thought it was amazing that when the actor was being sucked into the portal, as he was walking across the stage, he started spinning around.
Oh, yeah. Another little Easter egg. God.
Yes.
Yeah, she's definitely made by fanboys for laughs.
Yeah, it felt like it was written and directed by just huge fans of The Evil Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because there's bringing the source material to the stage, and then there's like trying to make every single reference you possibly can to every single memorable scene.
Yeah.
You know, like even like they took all the memorable lines from Army of Darkness and just fitted them into this play somehow. You know, like, he doesn't talk about S-Smart that much in Evil Dead 2.
And he doesn't have a whole song about finding love?
No.
Huh.
He has a bit of a speech about it.
Huh.
Loved the blood.
Yeah, the over-the-top
Of course
blood,
you
yeah.
would.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the songs?
I thought, like, I mean, I know they were trying to make it a comedy, so it worked as a comedy, but it's just, I would have liked to see a musical about a horror that sticks with the horror themes. That would have been really cool and done, like, all horror sort of music. But for a comedy, I mean, you had sort of, like, upbeat R&B kind of style and then really Broadway.
It's a very weird series because it started off as like a full horror experience and then slowly transitioned into just plain comedy.
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely
I think
changed.
Ash vs. the Evil Dead tries to strike more, because Evil Dead 2 had comedy and horror, like a very good balance of it. And I think Ash vs. the Evil Dead tries to keep that balance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've only seen 1 or 2 episodes, but yeah, I agree.
I do. I love the bit when they go to in Ash vs. the Evil Dead, and Lauren, you have to watch it. It's hilarious. But there's like this bit. I think it's the first episode or the second episode where they kill one of the main character's parents because they're deadites. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in this giant, beautiful like show of compassion, you know, Bruce Campbell just puts this cross up.
Oh, God.
And, you know, he buries them both and he puts the cross up. And he's like, kid, I'm sorry you lost him. I don't really know what to say right now, but she's like, you realize my parents were Jewish, right?
Oh. Oh, my God.
And that's the most classic, like, Evil Dead humor.
Oh, yeah.
I actually, because I like to put a song of the performances that we watch at the end of each episode. I had a real tough time picking a song for this one.
Well, what did you choose?
I chose "Why All the Men in My Life Keep Getting Killed by Kandarian Demons."
Yes.
Kandarian Demon.
But it was a toss up between Good Honest Jake, Bit Part Demon, and All the Men in My Life Keep Getting Killed by.
Hey, what do they
Kandarian
mean that
Demons.
he's a bit part demon?
It just doesn't have that much
Is that
of a
what
role.
bit part means?
He has a small
That he is
part,
small?
yeah.
I understood what they meant by the song, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a tough.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
love
why,
that song.
but that character reminded me a lot of Ryan from High School Musical.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just the look
Yeah, I could
or
see
the whole
that.
character, but yeah.
Yeah. I actually thought watching this play that, and I know it's like, you know, it's a musical based on a film, but you could make a film out of this.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. And apparently, according to online sources, Sam Raimi has given his blessing to anyone who wants to make the Evil Dead musical a film.
Oh, God. Good.
So, we know what our next project is, guys.
Yeah, we get it done.
I want to play Honest Jake.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Honest Jake. Isn't it? No, Reliable Jake, isn't it? Reliable Jake.
Well, old reliable Jake.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're
I
perfect for
think
the
it's
part.
I actually love how they paid homage to his death in the musical, because he falls into the basement, but in Evil Dead 2 he gets eaten.
Oh.
And there's just blood pouring all out.
Oh, God. Oh, yep. I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say people should definitely watch this if they love Evil Dead.
So what are we going to give it? How many Necronomicons will we give it out of 10?
Necronomicon. I'm going to say, I mean, coming from someone who hasn't seen any Evil Dead, but I do love horror, I guess I'm probably going to have to say 7.5.
Ooh. I think that's the highest rating you've ever given anything.
It is.
Lauren?
Because of some of the technical things in their theatre production, I'm going to give it a 5.
Whoa. Okay, Lauren's been a real bitch.
It wasn't set in Europe, that's why.
And there were no Jews.
Yes. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10.
Oh, wow. You know what?
I think it legitimately could be my favourite musical of all time.
I'm not
Wow.
surprised. It's very you. I was watching it going, yeah.
I have annoyed my
Yeah,
roommate
true.
constantly by playing the entire soundtrack since I saw it every single day.
Oh, God. That's why we don't live together.
Yes. He knows it word by word now.
Oh, God.
I actually, and I am not joking, I went onto the official website to see if they were going to do any Australian productions soon.
Yeah?
Because I wanted to go see it.
Yeah, well, they should.
They are not, but hopefully they will one day. They actually, I was very surprised, they do like a lot of, obviously, American and Canadian dates. There's a lot of Japanese and Korean dates as well.
Okay.
Like they've been there a few times. I find that kind of amazing. So evidently there's quite an audience over there.
Yeah, well, Japanese and horror and Korean love horror. I mean, have you seen their horror films? They're amazing. But no,
Yeah.
Benji, make a petition. Get them over here.
I will.
Do it.
Yeah.
I believe in you.
We want our supporters as well. If you're listening to this, write to the Evil Dead musical and get them to bring it over here.
Yes.
Well, I think that will be that about wraps up our show. So thank you for joining me, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me, Dia.
No worries. Thank you.
I've been your host, Benji Rag, and remember, you matter. Bye!
Ciao.
Bye.
You see, whenever you encounter a flock of deadites, you have to know there's a hierarchy about the whole thing. Just simmer down there, buddy. There's the big-time demons who pose a serious threat. And then there's what I like to call bit-part demons.
Well, bit part demons.
Yes, bona fide extras. Nothing special about them. They pretty much wait around for you to kill them. They'd never kill a guy like me. The main man, the hero, if you will. It's just not how these stories tend to go. And that's who you are, buddy. A bit-part demon. So excuse me for not being scared.
And I'm not one to agree with the living, but Ash is right. You're a bit player in this whole thing. You'd never kill a guy like him, never.
Right, you see?
Well, that's not fair. He's not a bit part demon.
Oh, come on. He hasn't even spoken more than 3 words all night. We don't even know his name.
Well, his name
It's
is...
Ed! Well, Evil Ed now. It's all right, Annie. You don't have to defend me anymore. They're right. They're completely right. I'm that guy you see in every horror flick. You wouldn't remember me. I come and go too quick. You wouldn't know my name. I hardly ever speak a line. If the hero kills 100 demons, I'd be the forgettable number 39. 'Cause I'm a bit part demon, a small-time misfit. I say you'll be dead by dawn, but I don't really mean it. I'm a threat to no one. The other deadites make fun of me. Evil Eddie, a bit part demon.
But don't you see, Ed? We've been listening to you for the past 2 minutes. You've said a whole lot just now. Just you. You're not a bit part demon anymore. You're a lead player. A star!
You're right! Now I see that this train trend has been disrupted. I've said more than 5 words without being interrupted. I'm a bit part no more. My character's had a swing. And now it's time for this demon to sing, sing, sing.